Hi guys, welcome back. It's video number 9 in this series on abuse. This is a very serious topic that I would encourage you to go back and start with video number 1. You're more than welcome to pick up anywhere in this series and get good, valuable content that's relevant. But I think it's very helpful to start with video 1 and kind of work your way through this series because it all ties together and it tells a story, a sequential story. And today we're getting right into my childhood and the perspective that I can lend to others through my own experience, my own testimony of how I was raised and how I grew up in much more detail than I ever have in any of my other content videos, in hopes that it'll help you who also may have experienced abuse in some form or fashion to make sense of maybe your past or experiences that you are either dealing with or have not thought about or haven't had awareness about, to maybe spend some time thinking about how you may relate to what I'm talking about in these videos. So welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. We've got a lot to talk about. And today, I'm going to start off by talking about my childhood and how I would use the generalization to describe my childhood as good. It was good. I mean, growing up, I didn't have too many complaints, I don't think, but I wasn't a high maintenance child either, which is to say, you know, if I say my childhood or my upbringing was good, that's to say that I was relatively safe, depending on what your definition of safe is. I was fed, I was clothed, I had a bed, I had access to a bathroom, a roof over my head, and I received an education. There were no serious alcohol or drug issues or cases of extreme neglect. And there certainly wasn't a circumstance of physical abuse between my parents. But I will say that I don't have too many memories from when I was very young. Nothing at all from our first home where I lived from birth to the age of 4, where my 2 older brothers spent their early years. I have zero memories of that first home or anything about it. Zero memories. We left that home, that first home we lived in, and moved about 3 hours away to the home we all grew up in when I was about 4 years old. And that would mean my oldest brother was 8 and my second oldest brother was 6. My mom got pregnant with my little sister, who was 4 years, obviously younger than me, after about 6 months in this house. So I was 4 and my mom got pregnant for my sister. I have 2 or 3 memories from around the age of 4 or 5, but the volume of memories that I have doesn't really start until about the age of 8, 9, 10, in that range. Some of the memories from that kindergarten age of 4 or 5 are pleasant, cute memories that I recall with fondness, positively. And some of them look like, I remember my mom dressing me up in cute clothes and putting pigtails in my hair or braids, and they hurt like crazy. But at night, when I got home from school, my mom would take the pigtails out and she would comb my hair and she would massage my scalp. And I remember that feeling amazing. And I actually didn't mind her putting the pigtails in, even though they hurt like a son of a gun and I hated them and I didn't want them in there. I wound up letting it happen and not kicking up my heels about it because I loved so much the scalp massage that she would give me. It felt amazing. I do remember her taking me to the grocery store with her a couple of times, after which she would go through the drive-thru at McDonald's and buy herself and I ice cream sundaes from McDonald's, and then she would go park at a local pond and we would eat the ice cream and watch the ducks and swans. And I remember she would put on lipstick and perfume and do her hair right before my dad got home from work. And I thought that was the stupidest thing ever when I was a little girl. And they would then kiss when he got home from work, and I would get so grossed out. I mean, I was a kid. I was like 5 or 6 years old. That was disgusting to see my parents kiss when my dad got home from work. I remember a couple of times them going away out of town, and we had a neighborhood babysitter come stay with us. We had a neighborhood boy named Pat to come stay with us one time, and my 2 older brothers loved him because he would wrestle with my brothers. And another time, it was another neighbor, her name was Heather, and she came to stay with us. And that was somebody that my oldest brother had a huge crush on. So I remember those 2 instances. My brothers and I played a lot with the neighborhood kids. I mean, there was probably a group of 15 or 20 of us running around together. We made mud pies, climbed trees, made forts, played games, rode our bikes. My mom actually, I remember this very fondly. My mom, before the neighborhood built up around us, there was nothing but fields, farms and fields. And my mom would mow the grass in the fields that were neglected and just overgrown with grass. They weren't farms or anything like that. My mom would take our mower from our home and mow trails in the overgrown fields. And she would mow these trails with a lawnmower, and the grass would be up to our heads, I mean, as little kids, so we could play hide and seek from each other and stuff like that, and make forts in these fields. And this is before every house on every side of us and adjacent to us was built up with a house. We had freedom, and we ran all over the place, and we were safe, and these were good times while my 3 younger siblings were still babies or toddlers at home with mom. My 2 older brothers and I would run around the neighborhood with other kids. And like I said, I have memories, pleasant memories, a whole plethora of them from around that age of 8, 9, 10. Good times. And I also remember one summer, everybody, I think, in my family remembers this. But I remember one summer I fell off my bike in one summer on the same knee 3 times, if not more, at least 3 times on the same knee. And I have the scar to this day on my knee to prove it. Once it was because, of course, the older and bigger neighborhood kids got a little rough, and one of the older boys pegged me with an apple. He actually threw the apple so hard and it hit my front bike, the base of my bike wheel, that my bike went right out from underneath me, and I fell right on my left knee. And I remember when that happened, I hit the pavement and started screaming and crying in pain. And I was probably 7 years old. And I remember, maybe even younger, maybe 6. My second oldest brother back then was very kind and loving and compassionate. And when I hit that gravel road and began screaming and bleeding, he came sprinting. This older brother of mine, second oldest brother, came sprinting from their backyard, which was 2 blocks away. He came sprinting across the neighbor's yard to where I was laying on the ground and took care of me and comforted me and was just a sweetheart. And then another time, I remember I fell because I had my dolly's wagon tied to the spoke of my wheel of my bike. I can't remember the 3rd or 4th, potentially 4th fall, but those 2 falls I remember very specifically because I was given a hard time the second time when I tied my dolly's wagon to the wheel spoke of my bike. I was just a kid. I had no idea what the repercussions of that would be, but I found out quickly. And at some point in time, as young adults, the story of that summer of me falling on that knee so many times in one summer became a great joke in my family. a story that has been relived at seemingly every family gathering, which has always brought great laughter. I suppose under the guise of nostalgia, which I get, it never bothered me before that others got so much laughter and joy out of the story, but today I do find it fascinating. I'm not bothered by it, not anymore, but I am fascinated by it because it's the perfect representation of my family's dynamic. How reliving this story of me falling and injuring myself so many times in one summer to the point where I have a scar, I was bloodied and in pain. Of all the stories to remember, this is the story that's relived so much and brings so much hysterical, whatever the word is, so much laughter, came to be one of the most cherished and retold stories of our childhood, one of our treasured memories. The summer where I was injured repeatedly as a result of me being a fool and tying my dolly's wagon to my bike wheel, and another time where I was bullied by an older, bigger neighborhood boy and was hit with an apple that took my bike out from underneath me. So the story is funny, and it gets funnier every time it's told, and yeah, whatever, these days I don't really care. To a certain extent, it is funny. But of all the stories to recount, of all the stories to share and remember and tell generation after generation, this is fascinating to me that this is the one that's always told. And I find it, to a certain extent, funny too, because I can't believe I tied my wagon to my bike wheel. How stupid. Then I realized that even in my adulthood, I'm shaming my own childhood self for having been a child and for not knowing any better. For not knowing any better. This is why I've said in this series, be kind to yourself, be graceful. Because when you don't know, you don't know. And when I, as an adult, have chastised myself going, what was I thinking tying my dolly's wagon to the back of my wheel, to the spoke of the wheel on my bike? What was I thinking? And then I realized, wait, I was freaking 6 years old or 7 years old. My dad and mom weren't out there. My brothers weren't out there showing me how to safely pull my dollies behind my bike. I had to learn the hard way. I learned myself because doggone it, I wanted my dollies with me. But this is how we shame ourselves in adulthood. I can't believe I did that. I was 6 years old. Same thing with you. Don't shame yourself for what you didn't know. You didn't know, period, especially in childhood. Give yourself grace. Thank you so much for joining me on video number 9. Video number 10 coming up. Take care of you guys. See you next time. Bye.